Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. On the program today, we'll be taking a look at artificial intelligence development in Nigeria. Of course, many, like we joked before we went on that break, that all over the world, there are success stories of artificial intelligence. And of course, we asked the question, where are we in Nigeria? But the good news is we are growing steadily, and even on the continent, Nigeria is still one of the top-ranked African countries that are doing so well in artificial intelligence development. Of course, we do have a software engineer as well as an AI innovator in the house this morning, and together we'll be taking a look at the journey where we are in Nigeria. What are some of our success stories? Also, maybe he'll be able to debunk some of those fears that a lot of people are having on the loss of jobs or the creation of other jobs in various spheres as it might concern us. Today we have joining us Tomiwa Ibiwoye. Tomiwa, thank you for being here on the program this morning. Right, so when we say artificial intelligence, a lot of people get scared and get worried that what exactly is AI all about. So if you'd like to break it down to the simplest of terms, when we say artificial intelligence, what exactly are we talking about?
Okay, artificial intelligence is basically the simulation of human intelligence in machines. So artificial intelligence is you just trying to make machines behave like humans in the sense that they make decisions. But in the real sense, they make decisions based on data
that you are fed into it. Okay, and I think that is where a lot of people, have been a bit worried rather, that because these machines are trained to be human, or they get information to, are there at any point, are there the fears that they could actually extinct humans?
That's Terminator.
Okay, so we shouldn't worry about that.
No, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't.
Okay.
Okay, what about this misconception that people are going to lose their jobs because of AI? And I also read somewhere that instead of people losing their jobs, AI is actually going to create more jobs.
Okay, like with every innovation, if you don't move with time, you'll be left behind. If you don't move with the trend, you'll be left behind. Imagine when computers came into existence, a lot of people decided to stick to their papers and they did not innovate with computer. Those people were left behind. But the people that decided to adopt computer, they are way more productive than
those with the papers?
Yeah, than they were ever before computers came. So it's the same thing with artificial intelligence. You will see people adopting this and making it, including it in their workflow, which will make them much more productive. So the fear should be for those that are not ready to adopt it.
Not to adopt it. So when you say adopt it, what are the most simplest, if you'd like to, break it down, when you say adopt, things that are artificial intelligence related, and you gave an example of those that, were not computer savvy years back and they've been left behind now. So when you say artificial intelligence, it means that we're talking about data, it means we're talking about probably encryption and things like that. So what exactly, when you say, so that we are not all left behind, what exactly, and you are an innovator yourself, and we see a lot of younger people in that space at the moment. So what exactly is AI? What does it entail when you're acquiring the skills?
Okay, acquiring the skills, there are different levels to it. You might be one of the people making use of it, and you might be one of the people actually building. Okay. And you might also be one of the people, should I say, building plugins to existing things. For instance, making use of it, the simplest form, let's say you search for something on Google, you see 1 billion results, several pages. What AI does for you in that sense is, instead of you going through each one and trying to pick the data you want from each page, AI kind of does everything for you, being a computer, right? And then picks the most relevant ones for you. Okay. But imagine a human trying to go through 10,000 web pages. you would come across 9,000 irrelevant ones. But AI would, in the simplest form, I mean, AI would basically give you the most relevant results. So it can basically replace several minutes you spend searching. That's a very simple case. Also, to help you create like a framework for somebody who writes, a framework for whatever you're writing, you can give the AI your prompt, all right, a command language model, and then it will basically create a framework for you, which you can then build on.
Right.
Of course, there are people who just takes what AI gives them
and then just dump it.
But then they get exposed easily.
Yeah.
But when you use it as like a guide, yeah, thank you. When you use it as a guide, it's basically should I say, shortens the time you spend researching and doing all of that.
That is if you're using it. And so for those, for the user, and so for how about for developers? Okay, for developers, also still two parts to it. For developers using, AI can help with code completion. There are millions of open source projects, so there's a very high chance that whatever you want to write, a part of it is already online. So AI can suggest, is this what you're trying to do? Is this what you're trying to fix? And then for the developers actually creating, that's where you get into the technicalities, learning the language, the programming language, learning the programming language you would use to build or to integrate into an existing one.
Okay, so as a country now, where exactly is Nigeria? Are we actually catching up, or we are lagging behind when it comes to the adoption of artificial intelligence? Recently, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with the CEO of Google in France, and Google is planning to invest a certain amount of money for the development of AI in Nigeria. So as a country, in terms of our policy and strategy, where exactly are we?
Surprisingly, Nigeria is doing quite well. I see the government, even from the government side of things, the government are pushing making efforts to push AI to make Nigeria should I say, front runner in the AI conversation. And we've been doing pretty well. Besides Google, the federal government still signed a deal with Cisco. I saw it somewhere that they were in talks with Cisco and other Nigerian companies and also other international companies to make sure we build different AI models in Nigeria, even for less represented languages, local languages in Nigeria. And it's quite impressive because normally we would expect Nigeria would not look at these things yet. But it's a very commendable effort.
Okay, so just to corroborate what Jibola is asking you now, and then perhaps you also can shed more light on that. Research done sometime last year did say that Nigeria ranks second among Africa's top 10 countries with highest number of AI firms. That was in 2024. And the report went ahead to say that Nigeria is solidifying her position as a key tech hub. And so when you look at Nigeria being a firm, you know, again, promoting key tech hub and the fact that artificial intelligence has come to stay, whether we like it or not. But how are we driving it? Because again, I know that this has been driven by a lot of young people. So how are we driving AI, and are those tech hubs really helping in the catch-up?
Yes. One of the ways I see us driving it is, let's start from startups. When young people, as you say, they are trying to have their startup, and they always, what I've noticed lately is they always look at ways in which they can make use of AI or even improve some existing ones to should I say, like just to include it in their startup to make sure they are seen as an AI startup. Let's even go to the most of the fintechs. Their chat box used to be very, allow me to say, very busy,
boring,
very busy. Now you can actually finish a support session without talking to a real human. That's petabytes or terabytes of data that has been gathered over the years that these new chat boxes are making use of to make sure they are able to serve users without the need to reach a real human being. And it's not just limited to the fintechs. We know fintechs are quite progressive than our, should I say, traditional banks. But even the traditional banks are not behind. You can see
they're all beginning to use
they use it a lot too. You can see Zenith Bank with their AI chat box, and it works pretty well.
Okay.
You can see others to many of these other banks too, and they work quite well without you once again talking to a real person.
And sometimes you hear them tell you you are on to a virtual assistant.
Yeah, they always say.
And they always tell you. But a lot of Nigerians still think that rather than speak to a virtual assistant, I think I want to speak to a real person, or I want to speak to a customer care operator. So what do we need to do to, you know, again, let people know that if you were speaking to a bot, a robot, or a virtual assistant, you are pretty much, you know, trying to get the help that you need?
Yeah, I think that's where the sensitization comes in. It is typical of Nigerians to always want to talk to somebody.
Right.
We usually don't want to use the available support channels, even before the days of AI. So this is where we need to maybe educate people, sensitize them to AI and all these other available platforms that they can make use of to get faster resolution.
Okay.
Because if we don't, it's just going to we'll keep piling up, should I say, backlogs of things we need to do.
Okay.
Meanwhile, if we make use of these things, even the AIs will get smarter. Because now, the more you use a typical AI, the more you use, the smarter it gets. Because now it's adding data to the existing data, and it learns because you say, oh, were you happy with your feedback? Yes. Okay, it knows that, okay, that's the way to go. Were you happy with your feedback? No, it knows, okay, next time I know to not go this route.
But like Ajibola asked earlier, still coming back to fear of loss of jobs. Now, if we have more virtual assistants, we have more bots on those platforms, why would you need to employ somebody as a customer care representative?
Once again, you know, the AIs have to be trained, one.
Okay.
And true, there may be some loss of jobs, but there is also opening in other places.
Okay.
Yeah, so as I said, if you move along with it, you might see people in companies like that being elevated to other roles,
positions,
positions, because they've actually, should I say, moved with the time and they've trained themselves to adapt.
So how careful should we be when using AI? I was on a particular platform of a particular bank recently, and at some point I had to stop because the platform of that bank was actually requesting for some of my details, and I wasn't comfortable releasing those details. So how careful should we be? That is one. I read a story somewhere how a Nigerian impersonates Brad Pitt, and it was able to swindle a French national of about $830,000. So how careful should we be?
Like with everything on the internet, we should be very careful with personal data. And we should never make monetary transactions or any kind of transactions with unverified sources. Like the person that swindled
the French
woman, we know even before AI, people have been swindling people. And just as AI improves or makes your workflow more efficient in an ethical manner, somebody who is unethical can use AI to, should I say, make their workflow also efficient. That's why we, as a people, as the community generally, we still need to be trained and educated on how to behave online generally, not just AI, generally, what to do online, what to give online, the information you send online.
Because I see that some of these cyber criminals, they're also adopting AI to enhance their activities.
Okay. I know we did talk about earlier on what government is also doing. We understand that the Nigerian government is working on an AI policy to promote ethical AI use and innovation, as done across the globe, where you ensure that you protect users of different things. So for you, if government is working on this, what are the pointers as to what exactly government should, focus on if Nigeria is to have an AI policy?
To have an AI, what they should focus on, I would say, when dealing with a particular set of people, you have to make policies based on what they are susceptible to do, right? So I think that would be left to the government to study the people, which I believe they've been doing, and see which policies they will they'll push out first.
Yeah, but for you who is a player in that industry at the moment, I'm sure you've also interacted with other innovators in some parts of, maybe not only on the African continent, but other parts of the world. So what are some of those things that perhaps as a country they enjoy and you also wish that there's a policy backing up, this in Nigeria?
I would say, I think in some other countries, they ensure, for instance, AI that generates, should I say, artworks. They ensure if it is following the style of a particular artist, the artist gets, should I say, mentioned or gets a level of recognition. Those are the kind of policies we can also put. If it's a writing style, a music style, because AI too can generate music now, full production. If it is modeled after a particular artist, there should be policies that say, okay, the AI
must give credit to the original owners of, or in parts for what that person has done before you did. But if there's no model at all, and then if you're also starting or creating your own, originally, are you also able to collaborate with others in the industry, or is it a one person per innovation thing?
There's always room for collaboration. Okay. There is always room for collaboration, and I would say the entire industry is even a collaborative effort. Right. Because take the biggest players in the game. If you look at them deep down, you see that there are other names from other companies that collaborated to make these things happen. There's just probably spared, right? But it is always a collaborative effort.
As much as we have commended how much we have done in terms of the adoption of AI in Nigeria, there are challenges facing people like you or young startup who are trying to penetrate the world of AI. And what kind of support do you think government can give to them?
Okay. One of the things I would say is we talked about different kinds of AI users earlier. So for the developers, if you are going to be doing any good thing or any substantial thing with AI and you want to handle on your own, like maybe host locally, you probably don't want to put it out there too much out there. You would have to there's something called most AI models, or AI is basically meant or works better with GPUs, and access to GPUs here in Nigeria is quite limited. If the government can make deals with these bigger companies to probably have people who can make these things readily available, then it would make life easier for people who are interested in really developing models or training models, even existing models. Also, to not talk about the already non-common things.
You might think they are known. You might think they are known. Please mention.
Okay, electricity is one big deal. We know AI runs on it requires significant amount of electricity, and you don't want to start chaining something and then your power cuts out and you can't even really tell if when you restart if there was a progress or you are starting over, because as we know, it's a relatively new field. You can't really tell if you've made any progress with such power cuts. So energy is one big deal. Should I say, internet is quite okay.
But it's now more expensive.
Yes, it's now more expensive.
but what about funds for startups? Is it readily available? And how expensive is it?
That's right now is not just AI conversation. It is generally people that provide funds. Should I say they are not so trusting of smaller people here in Nigeria. I saw a company. Should I say like a venture capitalist earlier this year. They came for a conference and they were saying before they can partner with you, before they can fund you, you must have had like $1 million in revenue. And I'm like, if you have $1 million in revenue already,
why would you want to come and get funds from them?
From they're funding startups, and that kind of funding in Nigeria is not for startups. That's a big deal. Yeah. So and I understand them today. It's just they are not so confident yet in these startups. So I would say if these companies can be a bit more, these people providing funds can be a bit more trusting of startups, then startups will have funds readily available.
Okay, so let's also talk about those other areas where AI is also currently being used in various sectors. For example, in healthcare, you also have, like we have bots and virtual assistants. You're also beginning to have, you can actually call certain numbers or call certain robots, and then they can make diagnoses and all of that. But then are there challenges that you see in Nigeria, especially because we're people that often find it difficult to embrace new changes? And so if you take the health sector as one, how is AI causing a positive change in that sector? And how much of interest would you want for people to deploy to ensure that they get the very full best of the technology?
Okay, I would start with first saying I live in interesting times because generally the data collection culture of, should I say, Nigeria is not very good normally, but lately it has improved drastically, and that has improved across all industries. Okay. So I would say in terms of healthcare and diagnosis, for simpler things or very common things, we can trust AI to make such diagnosis at this point. For more complex things, of course, not yet.
You need to go to see a physical doctor.
And then, please, the other question.
Yes, so the positive change, positive impact of at least those who are deploying AI or who are making use of AI now, is there making an impact in the industry?
Yes, it does. Back to the medical field. If doctors are not busy diagnosing very simple things, they can focus on the bigger stuff.
Which are, okay. The bigger things. On the bigger stuff.
But how do we convince Nigerians to embrace that when it comes to taking care of their health? How do we convince them to embrace AI?
I would say...
because for some, even when you are with a doctor, you're still doubting what the doctor is telling you. Much more of you are now getting diagnosed with AI.
That's now a general conversation of education and... yeah, I would say education because, as you said, even with a real doctor, you don't trust a doctor. That's not an AI problem. That's a person problem. So we have to first let these people get educated and know that professionals are professionals for a reason. And if a professional is telling you that, okay, this is the way, you should agree with the professional, because the professionals probably spent a decade studying these things, right? So if people can begin to agree to that or accept that, and then the professional is not telling you, oh, for simple things you can use this. That's basically the professional vouching for such things, and people will adopt. And the good thing is the younger Nigerians are actually adopting these things, and we can see the positive impacts. We see if you spend some time on LinkedIn, you see what younger people are putting out there saying, and it is on par with the Western world, what they're putting there, not just in medical, I mean, generally. See write-ups, you can tell that, okay, I don't know if this is AI or not, but we can see these improvements clearly with the adoption of AI in Nigeria. You can see it.
So, what endeared you to AI and got you interested in being an innovator? Even though you are a software engineer, so what endeared you to artificial intelligence? Okay,
this is going to be a bit of a funny story. So, because I play video games, I love video games, and you see the AI has existed since decades, but the kind of AI we had before does not improve over time. It's just you put it in a max difficulty, and then it matches your game style. It just has a set level of difficulty. And then when AI that could improve over time based on data was introduced, it was very intriguing. I mean, it's not just easy, medium, hard. It's now, as time goes on, it learns and gets better. It improves itself. That looks like a miracle, but it really isn't. But I believe you understand.
It's technology.
Yeah, it is technology. So that was one of the things that really caught my attention and made me feel like, oh, I want to be in this.
Yeah. So okay, go ahead, Jibola.
So for young ones who are watching us right now, what are the basic skills that are required if indeed you want to thrive in the world of AI?
Okay, for people who want to use, I would say, you know, even when you use ChatGPT, for instance, if you tell ChatGPT how to prompt is very important. If you tell ChatGPT, or if I tell you, tell me about yourself, you'll probably mention 3 things and you leave it there. But if I can prompt you and say, tell me about yourself, this year, what were you doing, where did you finish, you will have enough things to tell me. That's also a way to prompt these AI chat boxes. You should be as detailed as possible, just as if you are talking to a real human being, if you want something that is really useful. Same thing with that. So learning how to prompt is quite important. And then for the development side of things, just learn any development skill, any programming skill, any programming language, preferably Python, because it is very commonly used, and then the C, C++ languages, yeah. So just learn a language.
When you mention those things, that Python is usually the one that I've heard in, and I'm like, excuse me, is it the snake?
Also, for the young ones, Python is not a snake.
So how prospective is AI, especially in Nigeria? So when you look at the future, everybody keeps saying the future is AI, and then you see here the future is now, the future is here. But I know that while speaking minutes ago, you did say that AI is actually evolving. So, I mean, on a daily, you keep elevating and then you keep learning new things about AI. So what is the future? Does the future really hold for artificial intelligence?
I'll probably get to a world where...
Please don't scare me.
I hope not.
Please don't scare me.
No. Where human interaction is... unnecessary human interaction is reduced.
I like how you put unnecessary.
Unnecessary human interaction is reduced, which is a good thing. But human interaction generally being reduced is definitely not a good thing.
I know, right? Because all of us can be here and then we're not talking to ourselves. And really, that's not healthy.
Probably my AI robot will be here.
Okay. So, but then Nigeria, when you talked about funding electricity and those basic things that ordinarily should be a step up for AI, and we're not there yet, what do you look forward to? Are you able to set a timeline that indeed, if we are to compete as a country, by so, we should have gotten our acts together?
Yeah, if we are to compete, we have to get our acts together before the end of this decade. Well before the end of this decade. Because if the way AI is moving is not, the progression is not linear, is, how do I put it? If we were on level 1 in 2022 and then level 2 in 2023, we're not on level 4, well, we're not on level 4 in 2024, we're on like level 10. So this year we're probably in 50 or 100, and then it's a geometric progression. Yeah. So we don't want to keep waiting for basic things to be in place before we progress. So if those things are not in place, or if we don't find ways to bypass those bottlenecks, before the end of the year, we'll be left behind.
Okay, it's part of getting our act together, taking AI as low as our primary schools, so that we can start catching them young.
Yes, I think it's important. You see, let's pick coding skills, for instance. You see people getting introduced to coding, or the concepts of it at 6, 5. There's this language Scratch, where you can basically write programs by dragging and dropping. It's a one-to-one representation, or it has a one-to-one relationship with other programming languages. It's just that you are not writing, you are not typing, you are just dragging. Now, when a kid is familiar with that, when a child is familiar with that, as they grow and you introduce them to the real code, they will
it will be easier for them.
They will find it easier to get along. Same thing with AI. If you take it to the primary level, it is a good introduction to it. They should know it is already part of their life, or their lives, I mean.
All right, we'll probably have to leave this conversation here this morning. Thank you so much, Tomiwa Aduoye, software engineer and AI innovator. Thank you for finding time to share your thoughts with us this morning. See, we're done. See?
Time flies.
Yes, time flies. Because Tomiwa was asking, how long are we going to do this for? I'm not sure I can, but then see. Okay. All right. Thank you so much again, Tomiwa. And, of course, AI, yes, it can be difficult, but again, if we catch them young and introduce our children to this technology early enough, perhaps they also can pick up some form of interest. But government needs to be more proactive. If indeed we do not want to left behind. I know those people that used IBM to learn typewriter those days, and they just couldn't fit into the computer system. So we hope that we're not also left behind. Thank you for watching the conversation on this side of the table. When the program returns, Adebimpe on a solo move.
Oh my!
I've just told her now that on a solo move, we'll take you through her conversation.
Oh, AI can help you.
AI can help her. No, okay, ChatGPT, over to you and Adebimpe.